Hi guys, thank you for coming and joining me for this week's video. If you're new, then thank you for coming, and if you're returning, then thank you for being here again. Thank you for wanting to come back and see what I have to say. The topic of this week's video is going to be something that I mentioned in last week's video. I'm basically going to be talking about a practice that I have experienced in the past with past doctors of mine, and that practice is basically involving that like bridge between mental health and physical health. Within the past 5 or more years, I have had two different doctors. I've switched from one, then I switched to another, and right now I went to a new one last Tuesday. So these two doctors I have not seen, but I used to be seen by them. And something that happened in my checkups, my routine checkups, was a getting a piece of paper. And I don't think that they gave it to everyone, because sometimes I got that paper and sometimes I didn't get that paper. And that paper that I'm referring to is a checklist, I guess, or like a questionnaire, I guess you could probably call it, where they have different statements, and then you say if you agree, somewhat agree, or um, often, not very often, like those kinds of questions, and then responses. What that paper is trying to figure out is if you're depressed or not. And that is the practice that I really do not like, that I'm really not in favor of. I feel like giving someone just a sheet of paper saying, fill this out, looking at it for 2 seconds, and then saying, you're depressed, you should probably see a therapist, or something like that as their response, is so insulting, like in a number of different ways. One of them would just be, how can you take 2 seconds and then just say someone is depressed? How can you just like barely put any time or thought into it? You're just basing it off of a piece of paper. That just feels so insulting. The second thing would just be how insensitive it is. It's insulting how insensitive it all is. There's like no care, no discussion, no, like, no nothing, no sympathy. It's just, you're depressed, get help, good luck. I don't think that this is something that every single doctor does, at the very least in the US. I don't think that that's something that every single doctor does. I don't think that it's just an anomaly, but I don't think that it's something that every single doctor does, thankfully. So I know that my experience might not be your experience with the doctor, it might not be your experience with that bridge between mental health and physical health with your doctor. And if it's not, if you've had a better experience, I'm very happy for you. But that has been my experience, and because it wasn't just with one doctor, I feel like it's important to talk about it, because some other people out there might have had that same experience as me. And hopefully bringing awareness to it, if people don't know that that's happening, hopefully bringing awareness to it will help, so that those practices are not existing anymore, or they're existing but in a way that is more caring and more sensitive, and like it's more thought out, more time and effort has been put into it, more research. I definitely think that the link between mental and physical health is improving. I've heard of some initiatives that other care settings are putting into place and implementing, and it's really, really awesome to see, because I am a very big like mental health advocate. I really, really am passionate about mental health, and I know how important your mental and your physical health are. I know how you need one to have the other, how they're interdependent. And I think that the mental health community is a lot more understanding that physical health is also important, and they do really try to work with the physical health side of things. But I feel like those who are in the physical health field, like the doctors, the pediatricians, the whatever, I feel like those are having more trouble with bridging that gap between the physical and the mental health. But again, I know that there are improvements going on. I know that there's research being done. I know that there are steps being taken to better old practices, and that there are new practices just being implemented, and it's it's progressing. Definitely it's progressing, but there are obvious signs that we're not where we need to be yet. Hence the "Are you depressed?" checklist paper thing that I have had to fill out a couple times. And not only that, but there's also a lot of stigma in that community as well. Not everyone, of course. I can't ever generalize something, but again, from my experience and from other people's experiences that I've heard of, stigma obviously is not just found in that field of medicine. It can be found anywhere and everywhere, but I definitely do feel like sometimes there is a sense that a mental health is stigmatized in the field of physical health. And so I know that that is something that needs to be addressed, because it's not just a feeling. It definitely is real and prevalent, and no doctors of that kind are not therapists, psychologists, but mental health and physical health are so intertwined, they're so interlocked, that I really think that it is a huge thing that needs to happen. There needs to be things put into place so that stigma and insensitivity is not present when physicians have to talk to their patients about their mental health. I know I have felt my doctors before kind of like jump almost, like, oh, whoa, okay, I need to give you off to someone else because I don't want that. You need to go to a therapist because I don't, I don't want to deal with that. I don't know. Like, it's just, it feels like I'm contagious with like some deadly disease. That's how I have felt, the way that my doctors have responded to me when I bring up my mental health. Even though, it's sometimes it's questions that they ask me. Sometimes it's because they give me that piece of paper, I fill it out, and then, they read the results or whatever. Another thing about that paper that I did want to mention too, they are not licensed to diagnose. And so just the level of certainty that I have heard the phrase "you are depressed" is, again, not pleasant. It's just irritating and frustrating, because first of all, I know way more about myself than that like 10 list questionnaire asks of me. And again, those doctors are not licensed professionals in the field of mental health. They do not know everything that goes into depression. Telling someone that they're depressed when you don't know for sure that they're depressed can really be harmful. It is really important to not just throw those things around, those words, those diagnoses. It's not that everyone is just going to take it as an, oh, okay, I'll look into this, or okay, I'll, do some reflecting, I'll talk to a friend or a family member, and then I'll go from there. Not everyone will take it that way. And again, it's very important to properly communicate things with people. So I really, really just do not think that those questionnaires are right. I don't think that they should be existing. I don't think that they should be out there. And if they are, there definitely needs to be some work with the way that the answers are interpreted and the way that the information is delivered to the patient. My insurance changed, and again, I went to a new doctor last Tuesday, and my doctor is amazing. I've never, she does not compare at all to any of my previous doctors. I truly felt like this is a doctor. None of the other people are they don't compare. I don't see them as doctors because my new doctor, that is what a doctor is. Like, so unjudgmental, so focused on me and, understanding me, figuring things out with me, not just me saying something not being heard, or if I say something, a lot of care and thought goes into it, and you can see it in her face and in the way that she responds, and she doesn't shame me for things. And it's so, so amazing and wonderful to have someone like that. It's incredibly frustrating how a person's financial status affects their quality of care. I say this a lot. I think I've said it a couple times here on my channel, but I mean, like in my life, I say this a lot. The quality of care should never be determined by your financial status, by your socioeconomic status, by your income. It should never be based on that. It's so frustrating that people who work hard every day get low quality care. It's just disgusting. It's like saying that only some people only some people's health and lives are important, and the rest, it's like, who cares? Who cares? You don't have enough money, so who cares? Like, that is so insulting, so disgusting, so infuriating, so frustrating. And I really, really want things to change. There's so much work that needs to happen, so many systems that need to change, and I am wanting to do that in part with this channel, with the field of mental health. I really, really want to advocate and be a voice and be a part of not only building up that community, but helping it get into all the other communities, like the physical health community, the medical community, helping that gap be bridged together in a good, productive way. So I know that I kind of bounced around a little bit and I was just kind of touching things here and there, but I do hope that I just gave you some food for thought. And if you can relate to anything that I said, I'm glad that you know that you're not alone and that I have shared some of your experiences. If you have the ability to do anything to help out with just bridging the gap between the physical and the mental health, or just anything, if you can help out in the world with anything, please go out and do that. It's so important, and if things don't change in time for our generation, I don't think that that should be discouraging. I think that we should just want the future to be better. And if we don't get to experience that, that's fine. I am happy to do it for the next generation, the next generation, whenever it finally happens. I just want to be a part of the reason why that happened. I want to help us get there. So I do think this video ended up being a lot longer than I was anticipating. But if you sat through this all, then I really, really thank you. I hope that you let me know if you had any similar experiences, and it would be nice to just kind of see, because I don't know where you guys are. So it would be nice to kind of see like what healthcare is like in different areas and how advanced or behind the mental and physical health integration is wherever you are. It's just really hard to know that things need to change, and I can't just change them like that. But I will see you guys next week. I don't know what video will come. I'm hoping that it is a more fun, interactive one, but who knows yet. So thank you again, and